What's going on, guys? We are back again for another streaming session. Brand new week ahead, brand new money, brand new year, brand new month, brand new everything, right? We are back. So, I'm going to get into Friday's action real quick, just recap that. I know I streamed yesterday and just kind of went in full depth to that. So, if you want to watch that, I did retweet it on the timeline. Scroll down my timeline, you'll find it. I did stream that yesterday. I just went in depth of Friday's action, my thoughts, how we played, and things like that. I'm going to recap that real quick, probably spend a minute or two on that, and then we'll move on to this week, right? We'll talk about data. We'll talk about where SPY and QQ are at, and we'll look at setups. We'll look at what I'm looking at and my thoughts going into this week. So before we get started, if you're watching this and if you enjoy my streams, give a quick retweet on this stream. Let's get it out there. I want at least 200 to 300 people showing up here. At least 200 to 300 people showing up. So let's get it out there. Hopefully, you can retweet it, and someone that needs it will see this and bank tomorrow. You never know. So let's go. Yes. Let's go. All right. Shout out to you guys showing up here. I know I'm starting just a little bit early, but I just wanted to get in here a little bit early, get y'all showing up, and we'll get it going. So if you enjoy my streams, you're watching right now, you're tuning in, grab a drink, sit back, get cozy. If you're watching this on the phone, iPad, computer, wherever you're at, get comfy, and we can get into it. We got some good setups going into Monday and going into this week, right? I think a lot of people, we're getting a little bit bearish over the weekend, right, with war and stuff. But a lot of traders or a lot of people don't know that, war brings. We just see the market really just kind of flourish because some of these sectors really start pushing. Defense sector, a lot of these sectors end up pushing, SPY higher and Q, and they end up kind of just going higher. So it's crazy how a lot of these companies will be affected and in a positive way, because goods and services being used, it always helps the bottom line on their balance sheet. So it always kind of shows that on a quarter or not. But yeah, we will get into that for sure. Shout out to 50 of y'all showing up already. I appreciate y'all showing up. I want at least 200 or 300 people showing up. So if you're watching this, guys, retweet the stream, show some love. I've been giving y'all my all, and I'm going to keep giving y'all, the game, just anything that I can say and do to get y'all winning with me. And Friday was a really good day. Friday was one of those days that, you really could have full ported and you would have been all right. So let's get kind of into that already. So started out, I only trade I took on Friday was SPY puts. SPY puts at open off that push up right there. You can see right there. The reason why I did this, and I went in full depth in this on the last stream that I streamed yesterday. If you want to watch the full depth, but I'm just going to give a quick synopsis. The reason why I did that, gap fills, we just came right into that demand. So zone to zone, overnight gap created. We ended up eating it right back down and just kind of stayed down there. Now, key things that I saw and why I think that we're going to go green, why we're seeing green right now, how it's very possible we might see new all-time highs this week. It's very possible. For one, SPY's not far off from new all-time highs, right? That's like $8 away. So that's just, one green day, really. We're in a channel here and we're kind of, coming down, down, up, right? And Friday, we touched the bottom of that channel, but we also touched my purple level, which is 679.83. I call it the 680 level. We're right there at it, right? We smacked it and it got away. That low got, buyers stepped in. They got us away from that, pretty fairly quick. In that same hour, 4 hour, the same hourly kind of down there on Friday, which makes me believe that as long as we stay above this purple line, we're going to see buyers really step in and possibly trying to push us. Now, I do love this channel we're in, and it's a downward channel. Now, a lot of these downward channels, right, they do a lot of this, always kind of ends up in some type of downtrend breakout. And the downtrend breakout will always be vicious, going like moving out of it. You can make a lot of money. It's just downtrend breakouts are one of my favorites to make a lot of money. On top of that, we have a gap up here at 688, 689, near all-time highs. And also, anytime we do a downtrend breakout, we always push right back to where we sold off from. So that would have been all-time highs. Again, I love this setup on a higher time frame. If you're going to look at this on like a daily, it's still making higher lows. So again, everything's pointing to where it's very possible we come right back to all-time highs this next week. Now we need a catalyst or something in order to drive us there, right? So we can look at the news real quick on what we have data. So this is posted every week in the Discord. So if you're a member and RegoCap, you would get this data, which it just tells us, the economical data of the week, right? So we have PMI data on Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern. So that's, 30 minutes after market open for us. Usually if news comes out after market open, it's really insignificant. It's not going to move us that much. It might push us in a direction or continue to push us in a direction, depending on what we're doing. But you don't really have to be, like waiting around the clock for this. It's usually you want to be kind of selling this move or riding this move, not really buying it, in my experience. But it's on a Monday, so we'll see. Now we have the red folder news or bigger news Wednesday through Friday, with Wednesday being non-farm employment change, and then JOLTS numbers, and then more PMI service. All that, the first two, or the main one really, is non-farm employment change. That's going to be more job numbers. That's going to come out before market open. That's going to move us. The other two are really not going to move us. Next one is unemployment claims on Thursday before market open. That's going to move us. So keep an open mind kind of going into Wednesday, into Thursday with swings. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Also, Friday, we have earnings, month over month, non-farm, unemployment change or employment change, unemployment rate, and then consumer sentiment. Most of that is coming out before market open. That's going to move us. And then a little bit more of a move will be that consumer sentiment and the inflation expectations. That's going to come out 30 minutes after open. Regardless, that's not really going to move us. It's the stuff that's going to move us pre-market. So we will see what happens there. Those are all catalysts. And it's very possible that if we don't see much movement Monday or Tuesday, market will be waiting for all that news. And we could see some interesting things. So one thing I'm going to be keeping in mind is, of course, sticking to our levels. But where's the volume at? Is it high volume going into that stuff? Is it low volume going into that stuff? Is it high or low volume after the news comes out? That's something you need to be kind of keeping in mind. And the reason I say that is if it's high volume or, noticeable volume, then it's fair game, right? Then it's fair game. I would say you can stick to your setups as far as up or down, wherever it goes. If it's a low volume and the market's just having a hard time, trying to sell off, but it's a little bit red, I'd steer clear from trying to short, right? That was the main difference of, Friday, right? We gapped up and the volume really kicked in hard, and that was enough for us to sell off. Everything's got to be there. So keep an eye on that volume. You can just use indicators. You can use charts, whatever. I just get on the indicators, whatever. Usually Webull, and I'm just using, normal volume right here, volume. You can use volume flow. You can use a couple other things. They're cool stuff. Whatever works best for you. I would say that. So setups, SPY tomorrow. I'm looking at this, right? It's up $1. It's at 684.17. Where is that on the chart? Where are we at on that? So 684.17 is right there at the top of that channel right now. We're at the top of the channel. Now, this is a thing. This will be interesting. Are we going to reject? Or, if we reject, then we're going to come back right down into, I would say, like Friday's lows. Friday's lows will for sure come down into that area. Now, if we gap up, which we might, even though it's kind of, slower, hopefully we don't. But if it's kind of a push up here and we kind of eat it and then kind of open up above this area, which I would say 684.21. If we open up above that, that might be an official downtrend breakout, and we could easily see a run, to 685 easily. And then from there, if we end up breaking that, then we're going to run to 688 easily from there. And so just be careful, right? We'll see where we open up, but be careful until we get above that 686 kind of 13 level, which would be this level. This is the same level we rejected on Friday. So that's why I would say be careful until we're above it. And by above, I mean open up above it on a 15 or hourly or 4-hour time frame. So we have to open up above this to get that move up there. We can't just wick, right? Because we've seen where we just wicked, and that happened Friday. And I'm sure people got faked out, but that wick right there, we might not have a gap below us, but it still can reject and kind of come down and flutter. not the move, you're kind of looking for, or I'm looking for at least. So, keep in mind with that. We will see. So far, we're at make or break, kind of top of channel for SPY here. We will see about that. So I like that. QQ is up about $2. QQ is sitting at 615 area, 615.10 overnight here. So we're pretty much, again, kind of top of this flag. If we end up kind of breaking this flag and just kind of magnet at 617, 618, I like that. As long as we open up above, 611, 610 down here, this demand, calls will likely work, especially if it's a low volume. We have a lot of support down here from 611 to 606. I've been telling you guys this area for last time we're in it early December, be patient. We have a lot of support down here, and, we briefly dumped under it, and then we pushed right back to the next day into this area, and then we ran to 625 after that. So keep in mind, there's a lot of buyers, a lot of traffic in here. I don't even want to play it down here. I would much rather wait till either we lose, maybe play it smaller zone to zone. But if we lose probably 606, I'd play it down to 600 again, knowing we'd come down to that 600 level. But either way, this is kind of buyer city, and just kind of let them work, because it might not be like immediately, but we might easily kind of pull this into this range, do a little bit of flutter, and then push out. We might see something like that. I mean, we saw that last time down here. I would expect the same thing, as long as we don't break under that 600 level. 600 level for me is very bullish for QQQ. As long as we stay above it, I'm bullish, nonstop bullish. Under it, bearish, for sure. So we'll see. Ideally, I'm watching QQ above 618. What is that, 40 level, 46 level? The damn trend is at it right there. Ideally, 618, 46, around that area. I would like to see an open or get above that. I know then we'll just go zone to zone. So recap zone, we'll just end up kind of pushing to the next 623, 624. We have a little sliver of the gap at 623 left. We couldn't do it Friday. It tried to do most of it, right? It tried to do most of it there. And you can see that before it absolutely got rejected. So I would need to see an open above this, and I would be very confident we're going to take out, that gap again and run to 623, 624. Very confident. But even then, a good move from 618 to 623, you're still making a $5 move on QQ. And if it's going to be happening, fast, you're going to definitely make some money. So don't be scared of that, especially this time around. Do not be scared of that. So we will see. Shout out to 120 of y'all showing up here. I want at least 200 to 300 people in here. So if you're watching this, give a quick retweet to the stream, show some love, and let's get those people in here. So maybe, they can start off with a good new year, right? We started off 2026 with a banger, SPY puts on Friday. And that's really all I needed on that Friday. Absolutely bang. I did see a couple of really good setups, right? Tesla, I put it on the watch list. I gave you guys the Lotto Friday watch list. And most of it was all downside, right? And I knew likely there was not going to be much upside. And if it did come, right, it was going to happen overnight, which it did, which I'm so mad about that, right? I was waiting for Amazon all week. You see this range right here? I was waiting for Amazon a whole week to break up or down, really just up. If it ended up breaking that upward, I know we're going to run the 235 zone right up here. Notice what day we did it on Friday. We broke that 233. We actually opened up down here, which is absolutely crazy. We opened up at 231. If I was watching this and like wanted to play that upside, which I would steered cleared from the upside, knowing they'd probably slap it down. But you definitely could have made money, that 233 break all the way to 235, $2 move on some lottos, you definitely would have made money. $2 on, I mean, not just lottos, but even, week out or whatever, you would have made some money, but you had been faster because they sold it off. Again, Google, same setup there. You see that? I was waiting for us to open up above this 313 level again. I wanted to play calls on the break above 315. And even if I really wanted to, I could have waited for the break on 317 up here. It ran to 322. Not as fast as Amazon as far as, getting out the calls. It still ran a good amount. But, lotto calls would have definitely banged if you're if you're quick, right? It opened at 317.03. I would have bought it right when it jumped up $1, breaking that 317.98 and rode it, into that move to 320. So I would have easily got a $3 move on some lottos. You would have banked. But the bigger move, I was, really watching that downside. The gap fills the downside. I love those setups. And so that's why, I knew that likely it would be easier for me to alert that to the team. I'm taking that. It'd be easier for the team to get into it. And it's the overall trend, which I knew would happen on Friday, which would be just, downward, kind of just, easily coming down. Because even if they got into puts late, they would still have won on the day following me. Then if I called out some calls and they got in late and they bought the top, right? No one likes that. I easily saw that. I easily could have slammed some calls and be like, I won. What about you? And that's just not what I'm looking for. So I would much rather refrain from a faster move and realize the bigger move. So I know people can follow me, or the members can follow me in and win with me, because I got out of those puts, over 100%, and they went over 300%. So even if someone was busy and couldn't be right next to their screen, and they somehow entered with me, but couldn't really keep up after that, they easily could have came back at some point and been like, oh, I'm definitely up on this. I can, take the win. I can walk away. I can, do whatever I got to do. Stop, spell buy, handle the position, whatever it is. Now, you can't really do that once a super fast play. You miss your trim. Now all of a sudden, you're only up 60%. And then you're like, all right, I'll settle for 60. And you're only up 50%. All right, I'll settle for 50. Sorry, you're only up 20%. And now you're red, So on a faster move like that, things kind of get out of hand kind of quick. So you definitely don't want to be, looking for that on a faster move like that. So we will see like that. But guys, if you want my trades, wap.com/Rio Capital live trading. Sign up for live trading, guys. I live trade Monday through Wednesday. Sometimes I do Thursdays and Fridays too, depending on the price action, but guaranteed Monday through Wednesdays. We have a lot of fun. It's a good time. And it's just one of those where you can see my screen, my P&L, everything, the contracts I'm playing, I'm holding, I'm buying. And it's just one of those where, I can guide you a whole lot better than, give you my insight than me just saying, all right, we're holding here. All right, trim here. All right, sell here. It's just a little bit more insight. So if you like that, definitely give that a check out. Check that out. See what's up with that. But mentorships as well. If you want to learn one-on-one, that's another thing. Just how I do business, and this is it, guys. Like when it comes to getting down your strategy, it's amazing, because it's crazy, because you can just go out there every single day and make money. It's absolutely insane. And I'm so blessed to be able to have this knowledge and be able to spread it and teach you guys, because it took me years. It took me a certain it took me sacrifices. It took me like certain comprehension. It took me so much to get here, and I could much rather just cut that learning curve for you guys than have you go through those late nights, those early mornings, those trial and errors and things like that. It's crazy, but it's so true. Now, here's another thing. We're looking at NVIDIA here. NVIDIA is up $1 here overnight. NVIDIA is pushing up a little bit near that 190, 191 supply zone. We know sellers are here. Another thing, look at this gap that it did not fill from Friday. That's another thing I'm looking at, right? I look around, who didn't fill their gap? NVIDIA showed some really good strength. It ended up closing green. It gapped out of this demands. I know this 187, 186 demand has been heavy this past, week and a half. We've been playing it outward, risk on down here on calls, risk off up here with puts, and it's been working perfectly as we navigate this range. We just stick to, our charting in my zones, Rio Cap zones. Now, it tried and it ate some of its gap, but it couldn't quite do it. Wicking this 188 level is turning into a problem. But this is something I might play if we end up kind of failing, this 190, 191 supply, right? We're in here and we fail it and we come right back down. I know puts will work all the way right back down into this move. So likely I'm going to be looking to see if an hourly opens up under 190.15. Or if we just kind of get near and we just start hitting it, then I'll probably take some puts knowing we'll come down into that move. I wouldn't go super far at the money, go something that's pretty close to in the money of 187, 186. I don't think these are too juiced right now. We can look at it. They're not. So maybe go 185, 187 maybe. But don't go further than 185. I know they're a little bit expensive, but I would much rather you get a few contracts for, a good price, and not have to worry about, being right, but being wrong, being right on the move, but being wrong on the option selection. So this isn't a banger move. It is a $2 move. back in the range, you can make money off that. But you just cannot be, looking for, that huge, like, oh, what happens if we end up losing that 186 and coming all the way down to 181? That's possible. It could happen. We could easily slam those puts and then eat this, and then we finally break this demand that we've been holding, all past week and a half. And then we come down for that gap all the way to 181, that purple level. My purple levels. We could easily come down to that. So that could easily turn into an $8, $9 move on some puts. Now, we don't know if it's going to end up breaking there, but you do know that when you take the puts and it eats this, you do know that move happened, right? You don't know what they're going to do at this range. So what you can do is this: stops but buy, kind of keep it conservative just in case they try and tag you out. Be okay that if you only make 10%, be okay you only make 20%, 15%. Just in case they do that, I would say trim some. Personally, how I would do it was I would trim half, maybe a little bit more than half. I'd probably roll. I'd probably keep 1/4 of it, stops but buy. And if it ends up pushing back up and stopping me out, then that's okay. I'll end up taking that 1/4 for, 10, 20%. Say I hold that 1/4 and we keep it, pulling down. All right, now I'm ready to roll, and I'm going to roll down into the next strike. Now I'm locked in on, one strike that's already going to be up 100%, 200% as it's moving down. This next one I just entered, and so I'm riding it down, and that's the smarter way to do it. Is when you're trading, you want to go in sections with it. You're not always going to catch the monster move, like SPY, on Friday. You're not always going to get that absolute knife or that absolute rocket. And you're not going to always be inside that, full move. Plenty of times I've caught this move on the upside, and that's what I love doing on live. We catch these moves all the time to the upside or downside. I'm trimming into the move. Anyone that's a member can tell you I am trimming. All right, we're up 50%, 60%. I'm trimming here. All right, I'm trimming here. All right, I'm trimming here. All right, all out, stops with buy. Let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens. I can always roll into a new stride and keep surfing it when the coast is clear. And the reason why I say that is because we could easily, come down into this area. And this is what a lot of traders do, right? We come down into this area. You're already up 70%, 80% on these puts. They end up kind of holding down here, and you think they're going to dump, and you're going to be, that was high of the week, and you're going for 1,000%. In your mind, you're already rich. Then they just boom, put, the market goes low volume, and NVIDIA pushes it out right back into this 188 level. Now you're only up 40%. And now you're like, nah, this is going to get slapped right back down. And then it pushes up a little bit more. Now you're only up 10%. Now you're teetering to break even. Now you're like, what do I do? You're asking, what do I do? I just hang on. And then it moves back up into the supply zone. You're like, okay, well, maybe it just rejects. Be so honest with yourself, because you ended up fumbling the bag down here, not realizing that you got your initial move, but they just did not go lower with it. You should have taken your move at your mark, at your targets. And now that it's pushing back up, you're now like, okay, well, they're just going to reject it and bring it right back down. And I'm going to get that same gain I had, and I'm going to sell this time, and I'm going to win. Tell me how insane that sounds to you. No, they're going to run this up, and you're going to get squeezed. And now you're down, and now you're going to take a loss on that position. Why, guys? Why? I don't know what possesses traders to do that, because when you're trading options, you're trading more of the time than the move. Really anything. The time spent than the move. As the time is, as this is moving down and the time it's spent to get there, you're banking off that. If you're playing shares and you're just waiting for, it to do this and do that, then that's a totally different game. You guys have the mindset that you guys have that, oh, it's going to do this and it's going to come right back and I'll sell. That's the shares mindset. You got to step into the options mindset if you're going to be playing options. Playing shares and obviously just hold and, do your thing, whatever. But when it comes to options, this is a secondary thing, a derivative. This is just an additive to it, right? More ways to slam and make money off a move that's going to be happening. You drop into this range. I'm taking it all. I'm booking the win, right? Because I know that when we fill a gap, usually we sharply reverse. Even though I'm not saying we sharply reverse all the way back to highs, we sharply reverse, and then we could easily come back down, maybe. But since this is a demand, since this is a gap fill, that's a 2-to-1 ratio as far as buying and selling. Two meaning the gap fill ends, so that's bullish. This is a demand zone. Buyers are here. So the gap fill ends, and then buyers are going to step into this demand. That's literally my mindset versus the one of just one on my side of just selling off. Unless there's news or something else in my favor, the only one thing I have in my arsenal is just it's selling off, just selling off. So you got to think of it in that terms. If I'm down here on 70%, all right, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna sell all, take that 70%. And if we end up opening up down here, I'm moving on to the next strike and I'm rolling in, and maybe I'll size down a little bit more just so I can hang on longer for the bigger move and protect my gains. Say it goes against me and ends up pushing up a little bit, kind of fluttering. I'll take a 20% loss on that. It didn't end up doing anything. Then that's the mindset you got to have. So if you took a 70% win, but then ended up over trading a little bit and taking that 20% loss, you're still up 50% off from that gain. And you can say, all right, I'm walking away. No need to press it. No need to go crazy. No need to, go and do all of that. You need, so that's the mindset I see on traders that are constantly like losing, is because they're unprepared. They don't know where they're at in the trade. They're expecting a bigger move that's not going to happen. And it's just preparedness, right? Just being prepared. And kind of the same stream I went over yesterday with the whole move on SPY and QQ. These are the type of moves that we make a lot of money on because we showed up prepared. We showed up prepared. We weren't swinging anything. We weren't having a bias. We saw the gap fill. We saw the signs. We're going for it. Full size, trimming into the move. You're going to win nonstop, and you're going to run up an account fast, making a lot of money just in that first hour. So, it's crazy, but, moves like that happen all the time. We play it all the time. I catch it all the time. It's how I'm the king of the open. So if you're thinking about trading, if you're thinking about joining the team, if you're thinking about any of that, just give me 1 hour of your day. Give me 1 hour of your day. Take that morning trade with me and move on with your day. Make your money and move on. It's the best thing ever. You don't need to be in front of the screen all day. You don't need to, be glued to it. I'm glued to it. I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be your eyes and ears. That's what I am. You don't got to worry about it. I'm worried about it. So that's my job. Let me do my job. Let me cook. Let me do my job. So that's exactly what I'm looking for right there. Shout out to 180 plus of y'all showing up here. Let me give a tweet out real quick. Give a tweet out. Retweet the stream if y'all loving what I'm saying right now. Again, I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to give y'all as much as I can in a different way, in a good way. Just trying to make it, exciting for you guys or different, because I could be on here every day with a monotone voice, just saying, all right, guys, we're going to go here with SPY and look for this. No, I'm bringing the excitement. I'm bringing the laughs. I'm bringing all that, right? All that. So give a quick retweet to the stream. Show some love, guys. Let's get at least 200 people here. I think we're already almost there anyways. Appreciate it, though. Y'all showing the love as always. Yeah, so war news, things like that. Venezuela, that's crazy. We can just kidnap presidents overnight. That was crazy. I saw this one tweet. I'm laughing about it because someone tweeted out and it went viral or whatever. They're like, that was the cleanest invasion, or that was the cleanest kidnapping of a president I've ever seen. And I was like, you've seen more in kidnapping of presidents? What are you talking about? And it was crazy because, I don't know what y'all are doing, but middle of the night, I was getting the alerts. I have investing.com and a couple other news alerts that always go to my phone. So that's how I always see, breaking news very fast. Not only Twitter, but, these things go straight to my phone. And so I started getting, I was like, no way. And I looked at it on Twitter, the memes were already starting, he was in a Nike tech suit. I was just like, oh my God. I was like, no way this is happening. Bombing, all that. I was classic, but everything was strategic. That was very strategic. The timing they did it, Friday doesn't affect the markets. Notice how Trump always does. Oh, Trump always has the markets in mind. He can say, I haven't taken a look at the markets today. He can say, whatever he wants about the market, but he's always making sure it's near all-time highs or at all-time highs. He's making sure to make these moves when the market's closed, when there's no reaction, because then the market kind of settles down, and notice how, we're green here after hours. or overnight right now going into Monday. We just kind of shrugged it off. We're seeing SPY and Q, just up $1 and Q up 2. And so it's very possible that, we do see a little bit of a downtrend breakout and we see some upside. All depends on the data. Like I said, what happens with the data, we will see. My next targets, right, for SPY and QQ, we do have a small gap. I don't know if you can see it. I can try and close it. There you go. You can see how it's kind of shaded right here. This shaded at 609, 608. There is an opening there for a gap. So we could easily come down to that range if we, end up breaking, I would say 610. Just this demand right here. I would say you'd be really good on taking puts on that 610.25 break. This level, I have a level right there, and we tagged that on Friday perfectly. Trust your levels, guys. Trust your levels. This is how good my levels are. You're just seeing how perfectly, that showed up right there at the bottom. Notice how we hit that level and just bounced away. Same thing for SPY on that Friday. We slapped my purple level, got away from it. Same time, same literal time. So if your levels are not matched up like that, then you need to get back to kind of charting it out. So if you want help charting and things like that, I got you guys. Sign up for a mentor session. I got you. WAP.com/real capital. But notice how Q hit that. We are flagging here. I would say you're good to take puts on that 610.25 break. Notice how the next zone down will be, along the lines of my plan, or at least trusting the zones. That's still like a good $1.50, $2. You'll make money. It's not going to be the most, banger play. You will make money. But, it's guaranteed. Usually with those gap fills always kind of just magnet us down to it or into it. So, of course, we could easily sell off under that 608 and drop to 606, 607. That turns into a $3 to $4 move already on top of, there. So you never know. But I would say be a little bit faster if we end up coming down to that target. Other than that, I do have that kind of next target up at 624, 623. If we break this week, keep an eye on this zone right here. We break that this week, we're going to see an explosive move to probably 28 plus to 630, but 628. We'll see an explosive move there, and we'll end up going higher because that's a big weekly kind of range. And if we break that, that just means we're definitely going higher. We're going higher. So keep an eye on that. I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm going to be playing that, especially if we end up opening up above it. So don't fear, be ready for that. Shout out to over 213 of y'all showing up to the stream here. Appreciate y'all showing up. Shout out to the Twitch people. I think some YouTube people are showing up. A couple YouTube people. Shout out to you guys. Again, so how do we get in for the morning play? If you're looking to get my morning plays, guys, WAP.com/real capital, become a member. You get access to my trade alerts in the Discord. Get access to that. Again, just look for that. All you need is 1 to 2 plays. I'm only taking 1 to 2 plays a day, maybe 3 if it's a good day. So definitely, I would say, capitalize off doing less, right? Pick that good setup. The reason why I would see traders just kind of lose or, not do so well is because they're all over the place. They're all over the place with their setups. They don't know how to spot good setups. AMD is another name I'm watching. I posted this to you guys on the main Twitter. But setups like this is what I post to the members all the time, weekly, high conviction setups. I post it and then I go out and play it. I like AMD here. AMD showed some major strength on Friday. Again, if I was looking for that upside, I would have gone AMD. We had good options. We had Google, we had Amazon, we had AMD. You could easily slam some QQs right open and took that risky bet. But again, I knew the gap fills below were going to fill, so I didn't chase anything. But if these came on any other day during the week, I would have played this. Again, see the sidewaysness all, for AMD here. We finally opened up, above that 217 level right here, 217 level. And this was risky. This was risky if you would have gone calls. The reason why is because it would have done, it could have done exactly like all the other names that we looked at that did the same thing. Notice this level right here. We got above it. Now AMD is showing some unusual strength. Now this is probably some news coming out or something is about to go on with AMD. The reason why I say that is because it showed some unusual strength. It broke out on that Friday, even though we sold off. And on top of that, you know, it held and ended up kind of going green there even more. Contracts are pretty juiced for AMD as well. Something is about to happen for AMD. I don't really see it too much on the setup, um, other than us breaking above 228, right? If we get above this 228 area, we're going to move likely to 234 plus and then 230, 240. So 234 area and then 240. I like that. Now, I like the downside to this as well. We're slamming into this supply here. Very possible that we could see this reject again. We could see a little bit of flutter here. We're at 226. We're in the middle of this right now. We could flutter, maybe a little bit of rising wedge. That's the only kind of, I would say, pattern I'm trying to force right now. Like I'm forcing it a little bit. It's not really a correct rising wedge, but maybe a rising wedge into the supply. We could easily reject this and come right back down. If we do, this open gap is there for take. And I'm all right for playing it, right? It has the same exact move as Nvidia. It's sitting over that blue level. Let's take a look at Nvidia real quick. Blue level going into a demand where it absolutely ripped out of on Friday, gap fill. This right here from 217 to 214, 213 area. So a $3 move, a little bit bigger than Nvidia. I would take that. I would definitely take that. Now, AMD, I low key hate AMD these days because the way it moves sometimes, it just doesn't move. It moves very weird sometimes. So, I'll assess that situation if we get down to that gap. Market would have to be pulling down. Everything would have to be, in our favor. Yeah, it would just be a little bit weird, but I'm open for it. So we'll see kind of what happens there. But it is a setup, and it's a setup I'm keeping an eye on, right? So that's my whole point when it comes to traders. I see y'all just taking random plays and stuff like that. No, what you need to do is show your charting, be like, okay, AMD has a setup here. I like this downside. Eventually we will come down to this. So when that day comes, I will take that trade and win on it. You get what I'm saying? You don't need to go for it on Monday. You don't need to try it on Tuesday if we're still up here. If we break 228 and you're trying to short, you're already on the wrong side of the trade. That's what I'm saying. If this goes higher, then I'm all for it. Then I'll play the upside. But I know once we get down near 217, 220, 219, and then 217, this is a guarantee still waiting. This play is still waiting. This could be a February play. This could be mid-January play. This could be, my gains that I make on, January 18th or whatever the case may be, right? It's there. It's waiting for us. Keep those in mind. So when you have, a setup, keep that in mind. And that's why I say, keep your watch list shorter, keep it smaller, get to know some of these names and how they trade and things like that, right? And then really just play them and really be on top of them, right? And that's really it, right? And the best way I'd say is pick names that have really good option chains. That's really because there's nothing worse than seeing a really good setup on a name and the option chain is just completely trash, right? And stay away from those that have the option chain that have like quarterly, right? It's only every quarterly and not weekly. Stay away from those. And yeah, so those are my recommendations. Stay away from names that only have quarterly options instead of weekly. Make sure the volume is pretty good and there's no real, I would say, spread between them, right? Spread meaning the ask and the buy, right? So if you're looking at this right here, you see the ask and the bid on this 63 strike, this TEM call right here. Its last was 162. The bid is 159. The ask is 186, meaning the middle of that is 162 at someone, traded that. This right here is a pretty far spread. I don't like that. This is a little bit closer spread right here. The next strike up, which is a little weird because the spread usually tightens up as things go in the money or at the money. Sometimes that's the case. Again, this is lower volume. Look at that 154 or 420. I don't really like that. So again, pick something where, you can look over at a name like, QQ or something and you can see the volume. Okay, 43,000 on these contracts. I know for sure the spread's not going to be wide at all. I'm going to be able to get in and get it out of this because of how, significant the volume is. So keep that in mind when it comes to option selection. That is a big one. Big one. You can get the move right. You can get the direction right. You can get everything right. But if you choose the wrong option, you could lose on the trade, and that's very frustrating. So I get it. That's some definitely some game for you guys right there. So appreciate you guys showing up. 250 of y'all. Questions, let me know. Let me know on the questions. I'll answer anything you guys need. Other than that, we have some really good setups. We got good setups. I do love some of these moves, and we're just gonna stay patient, right? If SPY and QQ want to go higher, I'm ready to ride. Downtrend breakout SPY. Look again, this gap is sitting here. That's a guarantee for me to win on SPY calls. This likely will come this week. So this could easily be my Wednesday winner, up here, my Wednesday gains. That doesn't mean tomorrow I'm going to come out swinging with calls thinking we're going to hit this gap. Now, that could happen. That literally could happen. But I'm not going to play it until we get above maybe 685. Ideally, we would have to get above 687 to melt into that. If I really, really wanted to stay patient, wait till we open up above that 688.90 level right there, that top of the zone. And then it will probably move fast because I'm waiting for the very last minute, but I know we'll end up eating the gap and just going back to all-time high 690. Again, a win is a win. I know, you traders are looking for y'all to get rich overnight, and I understand that, but if you just stick to my ideology when it comes to, sections of trading, right? I could easily play calls if this is a downtrend breakout right here and we get this move up. I bank on that. I sell right up here, even though there's a little bit of gap left right up there. And you're like, all right, we're already up 150%, 200%. There's another 50% waiting for us once we move up into this gap because we have to hit that. But I'm willing to sell right here, knowing sellers are here, knowing we could easily do that and then come right back down, hold, flutter, and then push all the way up, the next day over and then bank. And then that ends up hitting the gap. So sections, right? I sold up here for 150%, 200%. It came down here. I waited. It held. I ended up getting right back in on that move, probably in the close, and then it ends up eating it overnight. I wake up, sell. Sections. You don't want to be holding for this whole move, because even if you get 200% up here and this comes down, hold, and then pushes up the next day and you sell, you're still only going to be at 200%, maybe a little bit less because of the, the move. Again, when it comes to options, we're playing against time. We're not really playing the move here. Of course, we're playing the move, but we're playing against time mostly. How fast can the move happen in the shortest amount of time? That's what we're looking at right there. The shortest amount of time. So that's really it. Think of that, right? IV, intrinsic value. IV, no one explains what IV is. Everyone hears IV crush or IV this, whatever. IV stands for intrinsic value. That means what is the value of this happening in the shortest amount of time? How much time can this, get it done in this amount of time, right? That's where the value comes from. So that's where then you can, calculate the delta. And then, some of the Greeks come into play, right? The delta just tells you how much the option contract increases for every dollar in the, and so there you go. You don't need to know all of it. You should know a little bit of math and you'll be all right. I'm telling you. So that's a little bit of a rant right there. Shout out to 270 plus of y'all. Let's see if we can get 300 in here. Retweet the stream if you're enjoying my stream here. If y'all showing some love, appreciate it. Y'all showing up. Let's go. Almost 300. Appreciate y'all showing up for sure. And appreciate y'all showing up, y'all retweeting, showing love. Love that. So yeah, that's a little bit of some ideology. Again, I did not learn that until, I don't know, year 2, year 3, whatever the case may be. I didn't start touching options until year 2 when I was making gains, but then I seen people, on whatever platform. I don't think I was on Twitter yet. I mean, I was on Twitter, but I wasn't on FinTwit like that. I just was somehow seeing people, whatever I was on, maybe YouTube or something, just showing just absolutely insane gains. And I'm like, how are they doing that on the same move that I'm taking? Like, I played the same name. I went with this size. How are they making that much more money? Is it that just going in with that much more size? And I realized, oh shit, they're playing options. Like, what are options? So then I had to get into binary options, understand what that is. From there, I'll never forget it, right? Never forget it. I played Visa, first name I touched. I was comfortable with Visa because I won on shares on that a million times. I know how the direction it works. I know how it was moving. So I was like, okay, it's just buying contracts instead of shares. When you think, the move is going to happen, direction is going to happen. So instead of pumping, a couple thousand into shares to make 100, $200, I was like, let me go in with $500 on Visa contracts. And, I made 70, $75, $100 in 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. It would have took me all day to make this with way more money, and I could do it way faster with way less money. Absolutely insane. So that's where the journey started. That's what I would say options is best used. I have a lot of screenshots where I'm in, 100, 200, 300 shares, and then I add on some options when I know the move is going to happen, right? And then you see like in the screenshots where I'm only up a couple $100 from the shares, but the options moved $1,000, on that move I expected, right? On the swing or whatever the case may be. That's the crazy part. That's the absolute crazy part. So, it's not something where you want to be holding all the time. It's little moments, sections in the market. So, like, my point being, we get a downtrend breakout. You want to be playing the move up to here. If it ends up going a little bit higher and eating the gap and then doing nothing after that, then you still have to be okay with selling at your target right there. So it ended up pushing up another 80 cents. So you could have made another $50 on each contract. So what? So what? So what? You got to be in that mindset of so what, because you could easily be on the other side of I lost this trade. I was seeing this completely wrong. Consider yourself knowing this information like life changing, that you're happy, just be in that gratitude mindset that you're happy and you're just happy that you even know how to make that money and move into this area, and that you even made a couple $100, $50, $100, $1,000, $2,000, whatever the case may be. You're happy you even made that in this move, because there's people that don't know the information that could change their life if they did know that. So that's the absolute craziest thing. Shout out to you guys, over 300 people showing up. We did it, guys. We did it. Give a quick shout out to you guys. I appreciate, y'all showing up and showing love, retweeting the stream and all that. I love you guys. And I love, ranting to you guys a little bit and, giving y'all some game. And yeah, so again, we're seeing SPY up $1 here. We're seeing QQ up $2. They're going to try and push us back into range. We have a lot of support for QQ below. SPY's kind of the same thing. 680, we'd have to lose 682 for me to be okay with puts down to 680. Again, I feel like we're playing with fire just a little bit down here. So be careful with puts. I think I'm going to be a little bit more cautious and look for the stronger names, right? AMD showing some real strength. You guys know how I feel about this. If it ends up, I'll be checking on this Monday morning. We'll see where we're at on this. If we end up breaking higher, I'm all right with playing it, as long as it's along the lines of what I'm looking at. Same thing for NVIDIA, if we end up actually opening up above this 191 area and making that next leg higher, then I'm all right playing this area first before, coming down to that gap. That's all right with me. It all depends though, but I got to be a little bit careful. I can't get too bullish with, gaps below. So keep that saying in your mind. When you see gaps like this, tell yourself, all right, I know a little bit of FOMO kicked in. For me, it did. Friday, I looked, things are green. The moves I was looking for on Google, Amazon, all that already happening, already playing out. And I'm like, I'm getting FOMO a little bit. I'm like, man, I'm really trying hard not to kind of chase this at open. But, the thing is it's not my setup. I missed the setup. I missed the setup. There's nothing I could do about it. The market was closed. So I'm not going to chase it. Right. So that's the thing. You got to kind of get in that mindset, check that pre-market and be like, all right, the play happened without me. It's all good. We're moving on to the next one, because, the moves that do happen, that you're ready for, you're going to make a lot of money on. I promise you, it's going to work nicely. And it always does. It always does. Right. Like Friday's price action, that move was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Like you entered at any point making money on it non-stop. So be prepared for it. We have SPY gap up here. We have a QQ gap down here just a little bit, but down here at 608, NVIDIA has that gap below, AMD as well. Apple showing a little bit of weakness here. Tesla sold off heavily into that demand. Again, get your charting right, guys. Get your charting right, because when you see Tesla and other names do things, right, it's not random that Tesla ended up just stopping in this area and then bounced out of it into close on Friday. It's not random that it ended up selling out of this area and going, slicing through zone to zone. This is, exactly my strategy, zone to zone. We have a gap up here for Tesla that we did not fill. Again, I have my target up there. If we end up breaking that 460.94, I don't see why we wouldn't end up running it up. Now, I love Tesla. I love Tesla Fridays. I love if there's a gap. I will save that for Friday. I usually play Tesla only on Fridays due to their contracts kind of just moving the best. Lottos, right? It's just they move amazing. Like Tesla, you get a $2, $3 move on a contract, you're gonna get like 200% or 100% for sure, 100%. It's crazy, but I love it. But I do love it. So absolutely. So we got setups. We got some good setups. I am a little bit green here overnight. It went long on MNQ, kind of right when overnight session opened up here. You can see on the 15 here how we have it a little bit right there, but pushed out a little bit higher, grinded up to this area. We're still just kind of holding up here, not really doing too much. It gapped up a little bit, so a little bit of a gap. Maybe that tries to fill it. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah. We'll see. We had a banger start to the new year, and we're going to keep it that way by sticking to our strategy, and that's it. That's literally it. So if you want my trades, become a member, get access to the Regal Cap Discord where it has my trade channel. Get access to my trades. I'm taking 1 to 2 to maybe 3 a day, at most 3. Lately, it's been 1 to 2, especially if the first one's a banger, then I'm walking away. No need to overtrade. And yeah, that's really it. So for my trades, go for it, guys. I appreciate you guys showing up. 310 of y'all, not including the Twitch and YouTube people. So shout out to you guys showing up for this. These are the setups I'm looking at for tomorrow. Some pretty decent setups. Not gonna lie, nothing crazy, but we'll see what kind of sets up after Monday. We'll see what kind of happens pre-market. I think that's going to tell us a lot. But either way, as far as where I'm looking for the win, I'm going to be looking for SPY, possibly if we end up kind of breaking that upside. QQ as well. If we end up kind of breaking out and running to 618, 617, I'll bank off that. Let's see if we get that continuation with AMD. Let's see if NVIDIA ends up kind of breaking out of that 191. If not, we have gaps below. I'm willing to play that. Say SPY and Q don't really do anything, and these names come down to the gap. I'm all good for a gap fill. IWM had a nice gap fill. What was that on this day? It was the 31st that I played, so that Wednesday. Took puts with the team. Haven't touched IWM in forever, but we got that knife down. Ended up playing that hourly. That kind of first hourly right there, pretty beautiful. But we had a gap all up into this range. It was just this range, and end of day it ended up dumping all the way to 246. We went with a 247 put, so they went in the money, or 248s. One of those that went in the money. Again, this is just a cheap name that contracts move pretty well, super cheap. You can make a lot of money off this. I wouldn't say trade this all the time. This thing moves very weird, and I sometimes like it, right? The zones, I like it, but again, it's just not really a part of my lineup. If I see a gap fill or something setting up, then I'll go for it. We'll see. Anyways, Google for the upside, maybe. We'll see. This is, showed some real good strength. Opening, came down, held. Just it closed green. Not technically, it did close green on Friday. So we'll see about that. All right. Shout out 300 plus of y'all. We did it. Shout out to you guys showing up. Let's bank this week. I can't wait. Appreciate y'all showing up, guys. Yeah, I can't wait. New money, new week, new year, new everything. I'm about to throw out the trash. I need a new trash bag in there. New everything. I need new slippers. I need something. Everything new around me for the new year, new week, new everything. Brand new money. Need that. Let's see what happens. Let's go. I'm ready to win. Ready to win, guys. Ready to win. All right. So that's it. Game plans are set. Since I'm streaming this on X and YouTube, right when I get off this, it ends up posting it. So if you want to watch it back, go for it. Go check out all my other free content that I do have on YouTube. A lot of old streams or videos. I have a lot of videos on there where I show myself charting and then going out the next day and playing options on that chart and winning. It's crazy. But I think that's the best videos I can make. I have a lot of other videos, but I think those are the best videos I can make when it comes to just actual pure trading, right? Getting down to the nitty gritty of just straight up charting a naked chart in front of you guys and then saying, this is how I'm going to go play it. And then going out the next day and actually playing it and showing the results of that. It's crazy. I mean, how else? A lot of my YouTube videos as well are just kind of recaps of how I did things. And, my alerts and stuff like that on the trades, how we did on trades, things like that. So charting, other stuff, a lot of stuff. So go check it out. That's free right there. Go check it out. If you want to learn more about RioCap, riocap.com. RioCap.com. Join the team if you want as well. My services, wap.com/RioCapital. You can get to wap.com/RioCapital through riocap.com as well. It's all connected, whatever. Anyways, all right. Appreciate y'all showing up, guys. DM me if y'all need anything, have any questions, let me know. Love y'all. Let's start this week off strong, green. Let's make some money. Let's change our lives. Big year ahead. The volatility is there. Everything's there for us to win. The tools, all that, the charts, everything that I give y'all is there. We just have to harness it and we just have to win on it. That's it. Let's run it up again. We had a great last year. And we're going to do it again this year and again after that. So this is going nowhere. Market's going nowhere. We're going to keep winning, guys. Shout out to over 300 plus of y'all, 330 of y'all showing up, not including the YouTube and Twitch people. Shout out to you guys as well. So if you're watching this on X, over 300 of y'all showing up there. I appreciate y'all showing up. And that's it, guys. Have a good rest of y'all's night. Make sure to hydrate. Make sure to get some sleep. We'll come out swinging in the morning and banking. So appreciate y'all showing up. Rewatch the stream if you missed the whole beginning of it. It's about the post. So of course, do that. Anyways, all right.